Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin,
And I'm your co-host, Dean of the Dead.
who is once again a gray box. um,
only,
and
only if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to it on Spotify or anything else, and you would not have any clue.
yeah, I know, right? I like announcing it though because it's really funny. But joining us today is the talented Emily Hagins, right? Right? No, Hagins. Hagins. I always go the other way. We just talked about
Oh,
this too, and I
just
always
had
go
that
the other way.
discussion.
I always go the other
There
way.
is very much something to that where if you tell somebody like don't do this, like they will do it absolutely every time.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
would have gone Hagins straight away because Hagins is double G, man.
Yeah.
Single
Oh
G
yeah.
Hagins,
Yeah, I guess
right?
you're right. You're right. But as a further introduction to Emily, is you have worked on VHS 2008. You have worked
Awesome.
on a segment for Scare Package, the original, and your new film. I'm sorry about the demon. And we're here to discuss what it's like to be in a rom-com that have to deal with ghosts and demons and whatnot. So, thank you for taking the time and coming on to chat with Dean and I.
Thanks for having me. It's very fun.
Yeah.
We're talking on Valentine's Day, so it seems
I
appropriate for
I was just
rom-com
thinking the
horror.
same thing too. The other day, because when I was doing asking you dates and whatnot, I didn't even think of it. And I'm in a relationship, so you think I would be, knowing that it's Valentine's Day, and then it came to Saturday, and I was like, I have an interview this week, right? What day is it? And I was like, oh, it's on Valentine's Day, and we're talking about a rom com horror movie. This is great.
Perfect. I mean, just it worked out. Everyone had time. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! And my significant other is actually out doing some birthday shopping for our son, so it's perfect timing right now. Everybody's out doing their own thing, and Dean's at home freezing his ass off.
Yep. Under a blanket with a hot water bottle.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
It's always cold in the UK, man. It's horrible. Give me some of that LA sunshine any day.
Yeah, come over here, man. I told you I'll switch spots with you. I love being cold, and you like being warm, so we'll switch.
Let's do it.
But Emily, what I like to do with all the guests that we have on is I always like to kind of bring it back to where it all began with them. So, do you want to take us down like memory lane and let us know how you got involved with filmmaking and for the love of filmmaking?
Yeah. So I mean I loved writing, I loved movies at a very, very young age. And then it kind of started to become like a love of making short films and I wasn't really into horror until a certain point where I saw a horror comedy. And it's kind of serendipitous because that very same horror comedy that I saw that was my introduction into horror and a love of horror also got released on Shudder this past month, along with our movie in January. That movie's called Undead. It's
Oh
an
yeah.
Australian movie,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I just for some reason, I mean, it's a great movie, but it really connected with me as a kid, and seeing it with a theater full of people that were laughing and having a great time. And I just thought I want to make horror movies like this where people can laugh and have fun. And at the time, there weren't a lot of summer camps where I grew up for filmmaking. Now there are. I just was looking
Yeah.
at a program that was just like even horror filmmaking for teens. They even have horror filmmaking for teen girls. Like you can get so specific.
Wow.
Where was this when I was growing up? So anyways, but instead I got on set of some independent films that were filming around town and just kind of PA'd and made some fake blood and guts for them and learned
Oh
how to
yeah.
do all these things. And it's just like the horror and the indie filmmaking and all this kind of wrapped in my mind as well. If you really want to do this, you have to make your own movie, like a movie, not just a short film. So I made my first feature. I was 12 years old, and it's a zombie movie. And there was and I didn't think this was unusual at the time. I just thought you just make a movie if you love movies. And there was a documentary team that kind of found out about that I was doing this, and they chronicled that in a movie called Zombie Girl, the movie. So I did not make the documentary about myself. Somebody else made that movie. And but what's really cool is this past in 2022, both Pathogen, my film, and then Zombie Girl are on the American Genre Film Archive released both movies on the same as
Oh
the Pathogen
wow,
Blu-ray.
that's
So
awesome.
now it's available. And
Hell
before,
yeah.
if you wanted to see it, you had to just get a copy from me or my parents. You know?
Hell yeah.
And so now it's out there through AGFA, and people can see it that way, and it feels really special because they value, kind of strange and obscure movies. So it doesn't feel like, they wanted it to make fun of it or anything. They just thought it was, kind of an interesting, weird thing that existed. But it ignited my, passion as a filmmaker. And I thought, this is what I want to do. And I kept making movies through my teen years. And now, I'm 30 now. I'm a grown up at this point, but, I really gravitated towards that coming of age subgenre. And even Sorry About the Demon has some kind of coming of age elements,
yeah.
even though it's no longer in the teen space. But so that's kind of the whole story kind of sums up the love of horror comedy and kind of silliness and coming of age elements that have maintained throughout my career.
Wow, that's so crazy. Always hearing, how people started doing things, but I don't think we've had that many guests come on and say that they made a full-length feature at the age of 12. That's crazy. And also doing short films like that, that's a big accomplishment, doing it at that young of an age. And even like I saw that you had, some of your short films, in like South by Southwest and stuff like that at a young age too. Like, that's amazing. And now for you to be on Shudder and working with Aaron's company, Paper Street, is really, really cool. And I know that you worked on Scare Package and you did stuff in VHS, which we will dive into. But wow, that's a journey. That's a journey. And you're still really young too, and you have so much more to do, and I'm excited to what you're going to be doing next.
We'll see. Hopefully. You always wonder, you make a movie and then you're like, well,
yeah,
might be it.
Yeah.
Emily, I was checking out your IMDb, and it said that at a young age you really liked the Muppet movie. Is that right?
Yes.
I used to love that. Who's your favorite Muppet?
My favorite Muppet. Oh wait, are you asking me my favorite Muppet or?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
yes. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite questions, but it does fluctuate. I always go with Animal.
Oh hell yes.
Oh yeah.
I love not Grover. Well, I mean Grover's great, but I meant to say Gonzo.
Oh, Gonzo, wow. Okay.
Trying to think. I mean, my mind keeps going to Fraggles. But
I love Fraggles too. I love Fraggles are great. I used to love that
great.
Muppet.
They're all great.
Yeah. What are y'all's favorites?
I think I've got to say Animal. I mean, I think Animal was based on Keith Moon from The Who. I think.
Oh my gosh.
What I heard. So, and I'm a big rock fan, and Keith Moon actually lived over quite at one time when he was alive, way back in the day. Lived not too far from where I grew up, and my parents used to see him drive down the road in a pink Rolls Royce, and he would just leave his leave this Rolls Royce in the middle of the road so no traffic could get by either side, and he'd just get out, park up, and just get out, just walk off, absolutely off his face. Yeah, total legend, total lunatic. But I think Animal was based on the Keith Moon character, so I've got to say Animal. I love Animal.
Yeah,
and that's amazing.
As a drummer, Animal definitely has always been mine because he's just so ridiculous and crazy. I did like the Swedish Chefs because they're just funny.
Yeah.
But definitely Animal. If there's like a one that I always go towards, it's Animal. And my son now, who's going to be 5, he loves Animal. Loves him, so it just keeps going on in my family of the love for Animal.
I love that.
That whole Jim Henson workshop. I mean, like the Labyrinth, man. Wow. I mean, that's a movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The I was gonna say something. Oh, the IMDb biography, I'm pretty sure was written by my mom when I was like 12, and she's like, well, you gotta have an IMDb bio.
That's awesome.
And
actually,
I've never been able to adjust it or anything. So that is like a little relic of starting as a child, and that just stays there forever on there.
That's awesome.
That was a big.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I have to ask about that. That's great. I love the Muppet movie."
Oh, me too. I mean, it's still, when I'm thinking about my top 5 favorite movies or anything like that, it always is in there. It's just because it was such a huge part. I mean, Kermit was one of my first words. Like I watched it over and again. Like just very just Muppet. I was gonna say I was a Muppet baby, not literally. But, I love that show. But
that's great.
our lead actor from Sorry About the Demon, John Michael, he was on the Paper Street podcast, and they asked him his favorite Muppet was, and he said Miss Piggy, and I was like,
Really?
what's wrong with you? Like, no,
Really? That's really
I thought it was
interesting.
funny. But he just said, I think it was just the first one that came to mind. It was fun. It was just a funny answer. It's funny we both got asked this.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That's really cool. Was it a question actually related to the film? So how much of yourself is actually in this film? You like, the Will character kind of going through the breakup. How much is that any sort of stories related to yourself, or how much of yourself is actually in the movie, the characters?
Yeah, see, I wish in hindsight, I'm like, wouldn't this be cool if this was based on some kind of weird breakup I had or something? But
moved into a haunted house.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's based on a true story. No, but I would say like a lot of the fears that the characters have are related to fears I have, and including kind of finding yourself through various. I loved filmmaking, as a kid, and I thought I need to be more well-rounded. I'm going to learn how to bake. I'm going to learn how to knit. I'm going to learn how to do all these things, and then I wasn't really sure which thing really made me who I was, especially as I became an adult. And when you're in your 20s, you're not really growing as much like physically as you are in your teen years. So there's this kind of weird like feeling of, are the things I'm doing too kid-like? Do they make me an adult? And these were things that really got incorporated into Will's character and into kind of his relationship. If you see the people around you kind of growing up or in your eyes and you're not sure if you've grown up yet, like what that looks like. So a lot of his insecurities are very personal to me and through what I went through. Feeling like I'm an adult now what? What are these things? And then like more specifically, his friend who's like just really afraid to eat like cookies and candy and like sweets and just any kind of sugar and all this like toothpaste, like weird stuff in the movie.
The toothpaste is so funny.
It's so odd. But I do know where this comes from because my parents always told me I didn't have to go to the dentist if ever unless I had a problem. So I just never ate candy. I never overdid it on sugar, and I didn't have to go to the dentist till I was 15 years old because of a wisdom teeth.
Okay,
And they so I had this like just really big fear of eating any sugar, like, and that was a part of what made me who I was. So I incorporated that into this movie. I don't know, these things just manifest into the writing, and I'm like, I don't know, hopefully someone thinks it's funny. I don't know.
Oh no, it's great. It's so different though. It was very cool.
I wish I had that kind of self-control of not being able to eat anything with sugar in it. Oh my god, this day and age, I feel like it's so hard to get away from anything with sugar. So when they were talking about that in the film, and as you were talking about that, I'm like, damn, is it even really that possible? I mean, it is possible, but like, how easy is it to adjust your lifestyle to not have any sugar in it? So hearing you saying that you didn't have anything with sugar until like later on or whatever, and maybe that's crazy. That's
I did eat sugar. I definitely
you did,
okay. But I definitely like had this fear on the other end. Well, my parents will make me go to the dentist if I overdo it on candy or whatever. So it was definitely like a fear-based decision. But then as an adult, no one's telling you have to do anything.
Exactly.
So that's definitely gone more out the window. But I did have this like, oh, I have to have self-control. And so that kind of manifested its way into that character, because I just think that those main four, the intention of with the main four characters of the movie is that they each are kind of going through something a little more grounded. And then there's kind of some side characters a little more cartoony. They're kind of representing like, what if you don't change? Like, what if you're the kind of person incapable of change? It looks a little silly versus people that are growing and learning along the way through some ghosts and demons and goopy stuff and weird cakes and so on.
All the ghosts are really funny with too. I love how they just pop up out of nowhere, and like Will's kind of just like, he's phased, but he's just kind of like, can you just go away? So I love it when all the ghosts and everything start popping up and like they're telling him to leave. And he's like, yeah, no. I love that stuff. It's so funny. This film is really fun. I laughed a lot first time watching it. And then I watched it again today in preparation for this again. And I fell in love with it even more. I think it's a beautiful film. It's well shot. The set designs are amazing. So I wanted to ask you, working with Aaron, how much input did he have in with how your film was going to look or anything like that? Or is it kind of you had free roam as to how whatever you wanted to do with this film? Because I know he helped produce it.
Yeah, yeah. So Aaron and I started working together on Scare Package,
Yep.
and we developed a good rapport. And with this movie, I'd sent him, a few projects I wanted to do next, and he liked this one. And I think with the circumstances of COVID, especially at the time that this got going, people weren't, you know, it was you were being extra careful at the
Yeah.
time. And the idea behind this was that there was a very like limited amount of cast members. It was basically one location, and what we did was build the whole set in the atrium of this hotel, and then everyone on the cast and crew stayed in the hotel, so it was this little
Wow.
bubble.
This is in a hotel?
Yeah, every single
Wow.
thing
Wow.
besides the exterior
Wow,
is
that's
filmed.
you tricked me. You tricked me.
Oh, good. It's I can send you some pictures. I mean, it's pretty cool. So they built everything, like even like little cutaways when he goes to like the grocery store. Like every aspect of it was shot here, and
Wow.
it really helped with like um kind of establishing the geography visually to like really think about, okay, here's the first floor of the set, here's the second floor of the set, and especially on an independent movie that's not it doesn't have any big stars and
Yeah.
all these things. It's very rare to get to build an entire set for that type of movie. And but it was kind of the circumstances of that hotel not having as many like conferences coming through because of COVID, um and it worked out for us. And they were actually shooting one of the more recent VHS films, VHS 94. They did the same thing in the same hotel.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And then
Okay.
some of that was shot before us, and some of it was shot simultaneously to our film. And my VHS thing, I heard you bring it up, was actually, side note, was it was for Snapchat when Snapchat was making VHS
Okay.
and
Okay.
came out on Halloween. And they were calling them, it was the VHS property, so it was
Yeah.
part of the VHS universe, but they were calling them video horror shorts.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember that
okay.
actually. I do remember that. I was going to ask you
Um,
about that, so I'm glad that you answered that for me already.
It was yeah, I feel like, it is cool to be, it's such a great franchise. It's cool to be tangentially just related to it. But Aaron and I started working together on Scare Package, and then we cast John Michael, who's the lead in and Sorry About the Demon, in our Scare Package segment as well. So there was kind of this whole aspect for Shudder where it's like Aaron and his company, and then kind of me and my team, and John Michael is the lead. And so it kind of just felt like a little offshoot of what we did with Scare Package
Yeah.
tonally and stuff. And so I think that was kind of how the project became what it was for Shudder. And then Aaron is like just very creative and collaborative and good at definitely letting me do my own thing. And but also, if I remember there were just some times where I'd go over to him like, do you understand like what the problem is right now? He's like, I totally get you, I'm here to support you. And so that was nice to just have someone else with that like director's mind there to kind of bounce ideas off of and stuff.
Oh, wow. Wow. 'Cause, we had him on the show not that long ago, and we were kind of like talking about like other projects that he's got coming out, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm like really trying to bring very unique ideas to the genre and a rom-com horror." I was talking to Dean before you came on. I was like, I can't really think of any rom-com horrors. I'm like, the closest thing I can think of, but this isn't even it. Is like Warm Bodies, but that's more of like a drama. It's like there's
Mm-hmm.
not too many things in that area, so you kind of created like a new subgenre. I feel I can't think of any. Can you know of any that I can check out? Because I don't think there really is any.
I haven't seen this movie yet, but I know my movie's been compared to it, and I'm really excited to see it. And me and the director just started following each other, which might be
Oh,
why it's in
wow.
my mind. It's called A Ghost Waits. It's on Shudder. I don't know if that.
Oh yes, that's we
Ooh.
actually I had the director he was on here not that long ago too. We were talking about that one. That's a really good one. I didn't think of that. Okay, so all right, so there's two movies now that
I'm
are
excited to see it.
that are in that genre.
Warm Bodies, that when you said that, I was like, that's a good Valentine's watch. I might watch that later.
Yeah, I
That's a
know.
great one. I'll have to think of some. I feel like, well, this one started off with the idea of like a Forgetting Sarah Marshall style, like breakup
Okay.
comedy with but the idea was like, well, what if he was too sad to move out of the haunted house? Was like kind of where that started.
Okay.
And so I think that can be interesting to start kind of a horror idea with a non-horror movie for your character, jumping off point in your mind.
Yeah.
Um and that's kind of where this started.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing with horror too, is that it's so diverse and that you can really put anything in that mixing pot and it works so well because it adjusts to like what's going on. Because like, comedy and horror, like obviously that's like the oldest thing that everybody talks about is how they mend so well together. And so you have those two elements already, but now you're adding in the romantic side, like a date night movie and a horror movie, and it blends so well. And it's very funny. And it's also really sad at points. And it got me in the feels a little bit for certain things because it made me think of myself being younger and going through relationships and being like, okay, I messed up right here. What could I have done better? What can I do to better myself? So it really brought me back and made me feel like that part of my life again. And I liked it though. It made me realize like, okay, I've grown a lot, and yeah, it was a great feeling.
That's really awesome to hear because the character aspect of the movie is very important to me, as well as the horror. I mean, this and all the scripts I have, this is my maybe like least horror script I had, going into trying to get back into the horror genre. And so it does mean a lot to hear when the characters are connecting with people, because that's why I make movies. That's why I hope everyone
Yeah.
makes movies, is that you get to connect with people emotionally through shared experiences.
Oh yeah. Dean, I'll let you throw some questions over there. I know I've been
Yeah, cool,
talking.
man. Oh, no worries. Yeah, no, I was thinking it was funny. I say funny, but our good friend is going through like a really hard breakup right now.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, our friend Dan, when I was watching it earlier on, I was like, oh my God, this is Dan. This is what he's going through right now.
No.
So I
Oh
was like,
no.
maybe like I will suggest this
Minus the
movie
haunted
to him, but
house.
I will suggest this movie for him to watch, but maybe not right now. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll wait but how long was the shooting process? How long did it take you guys to film it? Especially if you was kind of, was it all shot in a hotel? Did you have to kind of rent the space out? And how long did you have it for?
Yeah. I hope I remember. Right. It all blends together. These are 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe I'm just
Wow.
mentally trying to
Yeah.
make it seem like it was longer than it was. It definitely was not more than 4 weeks. But it all kind of blended together because of the we were there because we shot in Canada, and there was a very strict kind of quarantine process. So we were quarantining with Paper Street, all the Americans, like in a reality show style big house. We're all just
Yeah.
living together,
Right.
not allowed to leave. And then we kind of moved over to the hotel, and then you weren't allowed to leave that either. And so then we left, and kind of had one day in Toronto, and people were like, how's Canada? I'm like, really didn't see it. I don't
Yeah.
really know how
Yeah.
it was at all. But yeah, so it was a kind of strange, like, time passing in weird ways. And then because the whole set was built, even the night scenes we shot during the day, with like just adjusting the lighting and the controlled environment. And so there was a period of time where I was like just not feeling very good, and I got really worried I had COVID. But
Oh
I just
yeah.
wasn't feeling great. And I was like, man, I feel so weird. What's going on? And I realized I just hadn't been outside in like 4 days because of the controlled sunlight. I just thought I'd been going outside, but I hadn't been. And
Yeah.
so it was a very bubble like situation, but very, very fun, almost summer camp like. So you just kind of rolled out of bed, took your temperature, all those things you did at the
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And then you're on set and ready to go. And
Cool
really, really
experience.
fun. I would do it again, even if things have relaxed a bit. I think it was like,
It sounds fun.
it was super fun. And, I've gotten sick on other sets pre-COVID from like just stomach flu or whatever's going around a movie set from people
Yeah.
sharing a bag of chips or whatever, happens. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty good germ wise, pretty nice. Not the,
Yeah.
you get really run down. But was a really good environment, and we got to shoot mostly during the day, which is really good because, especially with horror movies, you end up filming a lot really late nights, and we didn't really have to do that too much aside from when we shot exteriors. So it was really cool. I wish I had some kind of crazy story, but because we got to build the set, we got to dig a hole in the floor and cut holes in walls, cut holes in the oven,
Oh
shoot
yeah.
through things, and a lot of them are very you almost don't even notice them, just kind of transition shots between scenes. But someone had to cut a hole in the wall to slide the camera through the wall
Yeah.
and all this sort of thing. But yeah, it was just so great. And then we had these children in the movie, and I was like, how's that gonna go?
Oh yeah.
Very easy to work with, great parents that were very supportive. And especially the little ghost boy, we're like, get in that oven, get under that bed,
Get in there. Get in there.
And he was just so excited to be doing all this kind of fun ghost stuff. And just it was just a really just easygoing crew. And
was it quite strict on the set with the whole kind of, because it was during COVID and stuff? Did you have to be really kind of strict with the whole kind of testing and all that kind of stuff and making sure the mask? I did. I was kind of had a very small part to play in the filming of the new Jeepers Creepers film, which didn't turn out great at all. But that was all shot during the pandemic as well, and it was for the opening scene, which is at the Horror Hound Festival, and it was literally incredible. The whole set was incredible, but and it was all outdoors and it was all night shoots. But man, were they strict on that set! Like, if anyone wasn't wearing a mask, they would. Oh my god! Everyone was barking and shouting and screaming at each other. I was like, oh,
wow,
that was pretty intense.
Were there a lot of extras and kind of unknown factors? Yeah,
tons.
Wow.
They kind of had big because it was a festival, so it was all they had big top tents, and they had a fully operational ghost train, and it literally was just you had all this nothing going on in the world whatsoever, and everyone's locked up. And then here you just had a full on fun fair vibe going on. It was really strange, but and obviously when they were shooting, everyone took their masks off and all that kind of stuff. But in between, it was just the medics were running around just barking at everyone to put their masks on, and it's crazy, really, really, really strange.
Yeah, it's you want to find the right balance between taking it seriously to keep people feeling good, and then also not making it this kind of just difficult to get through experience. I would be very stressed with that many extras. But we it was pretty strict. And if you were an actor, you didn't have to wear your mask when you were shooting, or if you just had your makeup done, you just kind of be on your own. And then but yeah, aside from the actors, everyone had to wear masks the whole time and get your temperature. You come down from your room and there'd be somebody taking your temperature. And there was a production assistant that was outside of our bubble, and he would go out to get batteries or extension cords or whatever. And then aside from that, no one was supposed to leave the premises of the hotel, so that even when the other VHS movie was there, their crew wasn't supposed to come to our set and vice versa. So
you can't have the lead going down sick, can you?
Yeah, exactly. And that was I was so, because I had this other movie where I had gotten a stomach flu kind of thing, and I just couldn't even sit up. I was bedridden, and I had to, at the time it was Skype, and I had to kind of direct via Skype, and it was these little scenes where the actors are just picking up their purse or whatever, just little things. But I just thought I never want to be in a situation where I can't be on set. And especially the actors, if they go down, like you said, what are you even filming? So that was very, and then of course you don't want somebody to be debilitatingly sick.
Exactly.
It's there's so many stressors and we drove my partner and I, he was a producer on the film as well, and we drove to Canada, and we're so scared they weren't going to let us across the border because they were pretty strict, that they were asking are you two together? And I was like, yes. And they were just asking to put our COVID tests together. He goes, no, we're coworkers. Because he thought oh, we both need to be because they had a lot of questions about like, why are you coming across the border? Can your job be done by a Canadian? Which were good questions, And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I think we have to be there to like make the movie. And so we were pretty stressed like getting over there. And I just remember having like so much PPE. Yeah,
Yeah.
what am I saying
Yeah.
anymore? On to just like take this road trip. I hadn't like been out of my house in so long, and I'm just like dressed like I'm about to like do surgery to like
Hazmat suit, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, I can't get sick before I make this movie. But of course things, once people were kind of like quarantined together and everyone had been taking their COVID tests, we followed the rules, but there was a little bit more peace of mind that
Yeah.
like, okay, we're all in this together now and we'll
Yeah.
get through it.
Hell
It was
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I think that's how
Awesome.
movies should be made now. I think everybody should just be at one location, like get a hotel. Everybody just stay there. Because now, like, things are a little bit more lax. I mean, obviously, you still have some protocols you got to follow and whatnot, but everybody's flying in from everywhere and then going back home and flying back and stuff like that, especially other guests that we've talked to. It's like, I think COVID kind of shaped everything so that way people can be together on sets and whatnot and just rent out a place and make it close to that area. I think that would just make things so much easier for everybody.
Yeah. I think it's like another thing I get really concerned about is people driving home really tired and
Yeah.
just being worried about that. And it's just really nice to know that people can take a nap during lunch if they've just not been able to catch up on sleep, or you can just like have some accountability and like finding making sure
Yeah,
everyone's doing
exactly.
okay, and no commute is just really really great. So yeah, I think if I could do it again, I would on any project. I think it's just no safety is worth the risk, for a
Exactly.
movie. So it's a great strategy, and I recommend it. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, I have another question that's related to the film. Do you have a favorite scene or a gag moment, like a comedic beat that you have in there that you enjoy more than others?
um yeah, it's interesting because like kind of my favorite scenes on the page would be different from my favorite scenes to film. They're
Yeah.
different from my favorite scenes at the end of the day. I think that I'd really love to give like one horror moment, one like character moment or something,
Sure.
or a comedy moment. I mean, I think anything that John Michael or Jeff, who played the two leads, they're both like comedy background,
Oh,
actors,
they're
and
really
like
funny together.
yeah, they're real life best friends and improv, partners and stuff like that. So they're good at just kind of putting their own voices into the scene. So kind of anything that they added or took away. Sometimes I think the actors make the movie better by taking out some of the lines.
Yeah.
But I do really like kind of the scene where John Michael and Paige, who plays his ex-girlfriend, they have this like nice heart-to-heart moment where he's kind of admitting he hasn't been happy with where he is in his life. I really like that scene. And so it's not really a comedy moment,
Well, it could be
but probably
anything.
any.
If it's your favorite scene.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they did a really great job, and the crew members was crying when we shot it. Like,
Oh.
it's so sweet. So I do remember that. I also, and then horror wise, I remember when we shot it's in the opening of the movie. There's like the little girl's possessed, and
Yeah.
the family is making a deal with her, with the demon that's residing inside of her, to like bring him a sacrifice to get their daughter back. And she just did such a great job. And we used two cameras, and it's all just one take. Like, she did such a great job. We didn't do anything else after that, and everyone gave her a standing ovation. So I think these moments really like everyone on the set gave her like
Yeah.
a nice clap, and she was so happy. And it was just just one of my favorite moments on set, kind of all time, to see this kid get. Sorry, there's a dog banging on my door.
No, it's all good.
Classic Zoom call. Something happens. But yeah, so just like seeing this little, I mean, she's like 11 or 12 maybe now, but just seeing this young performer be so supported by the cast and crew was just really
That's awesome.
wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Dean, I'll let you throw some more questions, man.
Yeah. So what was the inspiration behind the look of the demons? I kind of got like a bit of like a cross between Evil Dead and Exorcist kind of vibe in there.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's definitely
nailed
what was in the
it. Nailed it.
yeah, Evil Dead. Both of those things were in the lookbook, and kind of some aspects of the old and the new Evil Dead, which was kind of interesting to
Oh,
kind of
with
think
the
Yeah.
about.
eyes.
Yeah, and then the voice of the demon is this actor I've been working with since my very first movie that I made when I was 12. He's an
Wow.
incredible voice actor,
I
and
love his voice.
he's and he has this nice balance to me that between horror and comedy. Like he can have these kind of goofy lines from the demon, but still have a kind of a threatening, like he's
Yeah.
taking himself very seriously. And he had to kind of ADR multiple actors, like ADR, like replace their voices, and he could nail it in one or two takes and just kind of get the sense of how they move their mouth, and just it was really an incredible thing to work with, to like replace everyone's voices with this other
Yeah.
guy. And originally what he tried to do is drink a bunch of milkshakes to create that voice.
Oh
But
my god, that's not a
um
good idea. Oh my
he
god.
said his stomach, he had to do it for like 12 hours, so he's like, I can't
Especially if
drink
you're
that many
lactose
milkshakes.
Wow.
intolerant. Oh my god, no, you're screwed. You're out of commission for a week.
I swear he drank maybe like 15 like Coca-Colas, like or some Pepsis or
Wow.
something.
Oh,
He
my
he was
stomach
doing
hurts just thinking
something.
about that.
I don't know how he did that to his body, but it was really cool to kind of unite the performances with this voice performance. And um and then which and also I want to say on the origin of that voice. I made another movie with him maybe 10 years ago, and we were talking about the TV show Gargoyles, and he was trying to do the opening of Gargoyles, and it kind of came out in that voice.
Oh,
And
okay. All right. Yeah, I love that show. So now, yeah, okay. Oh,
yeah, is
wow.
it Keith David that's narrating it? I can't remember, but I
I
know he's
think
one of the
so.
voices in it.
He was either the narrator or he was one of the gargoyles. No,
He
I think he
definitely is
was
one of the
narrator.
gargoyles. Yeah, but he could have been doing I can't remember who's doing the
It's
opening.
been such a long time. Wow.
Yeah,
Nostalgia.
but that was where it started. It was like kind of talking about how great Gargoyles was, and then that voice kind of stuck in my head. And so then when I wrote the script, I always had in my head he would do this original originally like a gargoyle
Yeah.
style voice. And then the actors, it was really nice because they did collaborate on what they were doing with their body language to kind of unite the demonic possession entity and how that looked physically. And so that was really cool to see what they were choosing, like these kind of animalistic kind of body language versus just I don't know, almost gymnastics at times.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Yeah, they did a great job kind of coordinating that.
Wow.
Very cool.
I can
Very
imagine that was a
cool.
lot of work trying to match your voices with the other characters. Wow. Props to
It was
everybody.
cool to see. Yeah, it was definitely like yeah, like everyone is in, like those I want to say Pacific Rim, but that's not right. But like everyone's in like a part of the robot, and they're all controlling like one robot.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you got all these actors; they're all the demon, and then you have the voice actors, and they're all kind of creating this one entity that's not really physically shown at any
Yeah.
point. It's only in these different aspects, and I think they did a great job.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Dean, go ahead. You can keep firing away.
Yeah, so this is a random one. Have you yourself ever had any paranormal experiences that you could draw inspiration from?
I would love to throw this
Say
back
no.
at y'all because on one hand, I think I'm superstitious enough to say, well, if I say no, I don't believe in that. Like, no way. I'm
Yeah,
like, I feel like really I'm tempting something.
yeah.
Yeah, not so much though. But I have y'all had any, because I do love those types of
All
stories.
right. So I think I've said this on the show a couple of times. All right. Growing up, I was a skeptic. All right. I still kind of am, but since I moved into the apartment that I'm in now, I've been here for about 5 years. And when my son was little, when he was about a year and a half, actually in this room, we remade this room into the podcast room, and he's in another room. But his crib used to be like right where I am, and he was sleeping, and then at like 2 in the morning for a couple of days in a row, I would wake up and hear my voice say his name, and then I would get up, and then I would come out here, and he would just be sitting up, just looking at the wall. But the nightlight's on. Dean, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but
I
yeah.
don't think I don't think I've heard this story. No.
No, so like he
Damn.
would just sit up in the crib, and then
This
I'd
is why
think,
skimmering got to you, man.
so I would just get him back to bed, and it was fine. Then it happened again, and then this was maybe about year and a half ago. My girlfriend, she woke up, and I don't know if I was asleep yet, or I was like just about to be asleep. I was like in like that in between, and she woke up and she says, "I see fire, like out there, like in like where our kitchen is. Like she could see fire." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then I go out there and I see a bright light, and then it just goes away. And that's like all that I've really
Like an orb.
experienced. I don't know if it was just like a trick of the mind, like nothing like bang or anything weird like that, but hearing my voice say my son's name was definitely very weird, but it hasn't happened since. So whatever it was, I think it was just my mind, but also with him sitting up was like, what? But I don't know.
And he was like one?
Yeah,
sorry,
he was like about
one
one and a
years old?
half, so he wasn't talking or anything. I mean, he was like, baby talk, but he couldn't like say his name
It
in
might
my
have been the voice
voice.
actor. It could
You
have been.
know?
It could have been the voice actor we were talking about a minute ago. Just who's outside
Yeah.
going, Logan.
Yeah. And then there was one other thing, but this it wasn't anything that we really experienced. But when we moved into this house, our old landlords used to live on this floor, or at least one of their kids did. So they lived here for a long time until they moved out. And we have like a little small like attic space, and they said don't go up there because there's a doll that we bought that scares the crap out of us, and we swore that it was moving. So they put it in the attic, and we don't put anything up there. We don't store anything, but we got our new landlord in, and he was, we had to bring in the bug guy to make sure there's no bugs or anything, get it all like reworked since he's new. And I was like, hey, be careful when you go up there. You might get spooked by a doll or something. We were told it was there. And he goes up there. He's like, dude, there's no doll. What are you talking about? So I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? Were we lied to? But yeah, that's pretty much all that I can say that we have experienced, or I've experienced, quote unquote, paranormal activity. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I don't think I've ever. I'm such a skeptic, but being from ye olde England, we have many spooky castles and spooky. I mean, So my dad, he
I just knocked over
reckons
my
he's
box.
had.
Oh, well, go ahead, Dean. Sorry.
My dad, he's had a ton of paranormal experiences, apparently. But he used to be, and I've said this on the show many times, he was Boris Karloff's paperboy.
Mm-hmm.
He was so I think Mr. Karloff must have handed down some sort of curse to him, or perhaps I don't know. He's reeled off in the pub over the years many experiences that he's had. And I'm like, you sure you weren't drunk, Dad? He's like, no. I'm such a skeptic, and I've been to loads of like ghosts, like overnight ghost hunts. I've been to we've got a place here called the Kelvedon secret nuclear bunker, which is supposed to be ridiculously haunted. And
sounds like fun.
I'll do this. Awesome. I did an overnight ghost hunt there. Didn't see shit. I went to Margam Castle up in Wales, did one there, like right the way through the night. Didn't see shit. I've been to like the most haunted pub in the UK in York. Nothing. I'm like, come on, man, someone show me a ghost. But I don't know. I think if
you're
I
looking
did,
too hard. That's the problem. You're looking too hard.
if I did see something, I'd be I'd be terrified. So it's probably best that I don't. But I'm really into that kind of. No, I love it. I love the Most Haunted show. I love all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I am a skeptic, and I'm looking to be proven. Like that does it. I love all that kind of stuff. Like that show Ghostwatch. Also, so I live in well, I don't now, but I was brought up in Enfield, and Enfield is the home of the Enfield poltergeist, which is the most documented poltergeist case in the world, which is what they made The Conjuring 2 was based on, and it's just it's just a tiny little house, and I walked past it tons of times, and I'm like, that place is not haunted. Come on, seriously. But it's, as I say, the most documented what's the word? Poltergeist case in the world. I don't know. Didn't see anything there. Didn't see anything there. Maybe one day I'll have an experience. And
you can come stay at my house, and maybe it'll happen to you. Who knows?
Doll in your suitcase.
Yeah, I live in the middle of the countryside now on a farm in this old station house, and I swear blind this place is haunted. But I mean, if I love it here, and if I saw anything, I'd have to move out. So I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see anything.
Live in your van. You can go anywhere you want.
It's too cold out there. It's too cold.
I'll go over there and we can do a seance. How about that?
Yeah. So moving back into the movie, so talking about Shudder, how was working with Shudder? I mean, that's amazing. I love Shudder. Shudder's huge over here in the UK as well. So how did that all come around, and how was it working with those guys?
Yeah, I think they're so wonderful. I was so just honored that they wanted to do this movie, and they gave I would say just the best notes I've ever gotten. I feel like so many times you get notes from the quote unquote like studio, and you're thinking, okay, I want to show them I respect them, but I'm not really sure if I agree with these notes, and I want to just find the right middle ground and whatever. But every time I got notes from Shudder, I just thought, these are just great notes that are going to make the movie better. Like it's not like I have to figure out the right compromise because I want to show them, I can just, it's just much easier to show that you respect them by doing the notes, because they're great notes and they're very thoughtful notes. And I just hadn't done that experience.
When they give you notes, do they give you notes like throughout the filming process? Do you have to kind of like check in with them throughout the whole thing, and they kind of give you note, or do they give you notes like once you've kind of handed in the final edit? How does that all work with it?
Yeah, the notes I'm thinking about specifically were about the script, and
right.
It was pretty. I was really dreading it
like before you shoot.
Yeah, I've been through some really strange notes on script before on various other projects, and it was just are we even trying to make the same movie here? And
right.
Kind of felt foreboding for the filming process, and this felt really exciting, and I really liked what they had to say, and I thought it all worked really well and to make the movie smoother. And then they had notes on the edit, but a lot of the times with the edit, the notes were coming through like because Paper Street also had great notes, and so it'd come through like their notes, and I know Shutters would be like kind of included in that, so I couldn't really tell you which ones came from which producer, but it was really nice. It all felt like very much like everyone wanted to make the same movie, and with a movie so specific and strange, like it was nice that we all wanted to make the same thing. So that was cool. And yeah, I'm a big fan of just being a Shudder subscriber. They just have great programming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Are you a Screenbox subscriber? Do you know much about Screenbox?
I just looked into it the other day because I hadn't heard a lot. Yeah, so should I be? Yeah.
Yes, we do a lot of work with them. A lot of work.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yes, Screenbox is another. We love Shudder. I've been subscribed to Shudder for many years, and been almost a year of being fully subscribed to Screenbox. I believe they're great. They're bringing a lot of really cool indie hits. I mean, they got Terrifier 2 on there. They have the Outwaters going there this Friday. They have a lot of really, really good stuff there. So yes, they're I think $1 cheaper than Shudder, but it's definitely worth it, I say, for sure.
Well, combined, that's like the price of like just one other streaming service.
Yeah, it's not that bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, I would much rather be paying for stuff like the Shudder than, I won't say, just some of the other ones.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. You get so much more for your money, like almost every week. Some of these other services, it takes a month or a couple of weeks for them to get anything new, and you're kind of like, okay, what am I doing? But like with Shutter and like Greenbox and stuff like that, like you are always finding something to watch. Always, there's always, and the active TV channels that they have going on too. Like, okay, is this what's new on Shutter? You can watch this, or go watch some slashers if you want. Here's a channel for that. It's really really cool. So yeah, I agree on that a lot.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I know I have a new movie on Shudder, but I do really like the streaming services where I can watch older movies, and I feel like
Yeah,
there are some that it's really hard to find any kind of classics or horror classics, or like I'll find just like two or three titles and I
yeah,
watch them and I'm like, why am I still paying for this?
yeah,
And
exactly.
I just like, you know, they have so many, such an eclectic, you know, just amount of movies. And I've been thinking a lot, like in the streaming age, about this is a weird soapbox I'm on. I'll make it really short, but like,
Okay.
um, just in the streaming age, like movies feel so. I mean, like, you know, we use the word content, and it feels like such a commodity where it's like, here's this movie, and now the movie is gone, and now here's a new movie, and it's like kind of this goldfish memory kind of thing. But you know, movies, they stand the test of time, and you know, we said Boris Karloff a minute ago, and I just remember thinking, oh, I just watched The Black Cat, and the movie was so good,
Oh
and it was so
yeah,
timeless in a way. And I just like, I was just thinking, you know, like it still like really resonates. Like a movie that old, of course, I mean, the old movies. This is not new information, but just thinking about movies stand the test of time, and they will find audiences over time. And I feel like a lot of the teen movies I watched as a teenager that resonated with me were made decades before me. They didn't have computers and cell phones and stuff in them, but they were just these ideas that teenagers always go through.
yeah.
And so I just feel like, and same with horror and all these things. And I just feel like, you know, even if we're making movies for the age of streaming, we should be thinking, will this stand the test of time? Will people be able to, you know, really enjoy this for all the time to come? And I think it's just something to be thinking about as a filmmaker. It feels like it has to be for the moment, but I it's a long con.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I agree
just make
on
the
in
best movies you
everything you
can.
said. Like, yeah, going back to how you said there were movies that were made like decades before, like Us or whatever, and it resonates with you. I agree with that a lot because I was the same way as a kid. Like, I was watching, obviously things that were coming out as I was growing up, but I always went back like 20, 30 years finding movies. I was like, oh, wow, I like this kind of more than like what's coming out now. And touching on how everything's coming out so quick. I mean, Dean and I, we kind of dread it because of the position that we're in. As being a podcast, he likes to talk to directors and actors and review movies. It's so hard to keep up with all of the new things coming out. So we grab
Yeah.
people when we can. And if anybody comes along the way, like, hey, we want to come on and talk, we're like, yeah, let's do it. And it's like sometimes I feel like our time is just so short. With a project that we're working on, and it's something that I want to watch. I'm like, I can't right now because I have to work on this thing for this film. So it's like, oh man, it's a double-edged sword, But it's a great time to be a moviegoer, a horror fan, or anybody who likes cinema. This is definitely a time to rejoice because there's so much stuff coming out. I love it, but I also
A
Yeah.
hate
lot of
it.
really good, yeah, a lot of really good, unique projects, and it is like, you know, it's hard to keep up with all of it. But that is the good thing about movies; they are around. They're not only there for the
Yeah,
one weekend; they are around to watch. And sometimes, you know, it might be a while to get to it, but that's the
yeah,
great thing. Like movies find their audience,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just it's a really magical thing that's about making movies. They're like little, you know, moments of time captured. And I feel like the movies that have come out of, you know, we made this movie during COVID, and I feel like the movies that were made in these kind of quarantine environments are going to be a very interesting capsule of these
yeah.
last couple of years.
One of my other favorite, movies from Aaron and Paper Street is Revealer. That movie was made, under the same conditions, and
Yeah.
it was my favorite movie of last year because of just how different and unique it was, and how much, even though it's dealing with like the 80s and during that time, but it's also so of today. And that's what a lot of movies, I think, even like your film, it's so much of today. And like, even like back then, because it's something that everybody deals with, go through a breakup, or you're going through life and it's a little bit hard, you have too many things juggling, like I relate to that a lot of having so many things in your life, going on. You're like, how do I focus on this one thing and get my mind there? And I was juggling a lot of stuff, and then started doing the show with my old friend who was a co-host, and I'm doing it with Dean. And like, it's, I don't know. I feel like my life right now is in such a good organized spot, and after watching this movie, I can definitely tell, like, yeah, I'm definitely, in a point in my life where things are organized. Because like I said, this movie, brought me back to thinking how I was like 15 years ago, or even like 10 years ago, and I'm like, wow, I really have come a long way, and I've really been way more organized, and I'm actually a better person than I was. So thank you for, making a film that, made me kind of reevaluate my life.
I'm glad. That's really great. And it's also like when you show a character that really needs to grow, I always worry, are people going to think that I'm endorsing some of this bad stuff he's doing? Because really the thought is that he's,
Let's go make 20 cakes.
yeah, that he's not, he knows he should grow. Like, I really wanted to avoid, and I know some people will probably interpret it like, oh, man child, but
Yeah.
the thing that we worked on, me and the actor, was like, what can we do to make it so that he's sympathetic? Like, he needs to grow, but he's not like in this weird state of I don't want to grow up, and he's like, wearing a diaper, like literal man baby,
Man.
and so that's like, we didn't want him to be like that, and just like somebody that is somewhere in the in-between place to end up, and hopefully some of that is relatable, and but also giving him these kind of blinders because he doesn't want to acknowledge his house is haunted, but you're along for that ride. Kind of like it sounds like maybe Dean's house if it's haunted, and he's like, I don't want to move out. I like my house.
Yeah.
I don't
Now after tonight, it's gonna be haunted. He's gonna be like, "There's a ghost." I'm gonna get a call in like a couple hours. Like, "There's a
I'm
ghost."
telling you, man, this place. So the estate that we live on, all the houses, all the cottages were designed by the same guy that designed the Natural History Museum in London.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and our house is called Station Cottage. So it's the old station master's house, because outside was a train station many, many years ago. And now it's just a dirt track, but you can still see the platform for the old station there. Like, we're talking fucking 100 odd years. I don't know how many years.
That's awesome, though.
And every time when I go out to work in the morning and it's still dark, I'm just thinking I'm going to see that ghost train come flying down the dust track.
Whoa.
Or
If
like
that does
some
happen,
kind of
you better get a
mad
video.
dude. I'd run so fast, man. See, this is the thing. I am the biggest horror fan, right? But if I saw something like that, I would just run. I'm the biggest. If I ever saw something like that, yeah, I'd probably die. So somebody out there's like, yeah, he's not ready. He's not ready for it.
Oh man, that's really funny. That's really
And like the
funny.
station master's house, I mean, if I just went out to make a cup of tea outside and saw the ghost of the station master, dude, I'd drop dead on the spot. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see it.
Just
No.
offer him a cup of tea. What's so wrong with that? Maybe he just wants to relax with you, Dean.
A cup of tea.
These would be very top tier ghost sightings. Like, I don't think you can get much
Yeah.
crazier than these. So
Right.
we'll have to.
You're talking about discovering, movies and all these awesome streaming platforms. I've been watching and also having time to kind of watch all these movies, and I recently just been watching this In Search of Darkness series that I've got on Shudder, and the third one's just come out, and holy crap, man, there's so many movies I've never even heard of. And I'm just like adding that to the list, to the list, to the list, to the list, and all these Japanese horrors, all these J horrors, and all these
Dude,
things that I'm just like, wow, like,
don't get me started on Korean and
oh,
Japanese horror, because they just do things way different than
days
anybody.
the days are not long enough, are they? I wish we could just add an extra couple of days into the week that could be just specifically movie days. Monday to Friday work, and then you could have something day, film. They're the film days, and then the weekend, and then back to Monday,
Or
and
just
then
not have to sleep. I've always advocated for not sleeping, like just having the option to press the button and be like, nope, no sleep today. And I think
yeah, it's
that'd be
movie
great.
day. Yeah. I only actually, you mentioned earlier on, Emily, about Undead, that movie Undead, and I've only recently just discovered that, which is my parents lived in Australia for about 10 years. So I'm surprised I've never actually come across that film. But it was strange, shot in a really weird way, isn't it? It's got a really weird sort of color palette to it.
It really does. And it's
Yeah.
strange to me because I'm very like color, like I don't know, like sensitive. I don't know the word for it.
Yeah,
With
there
like
is
how
there
movies
is an
are
actual word
tinted.
for it.
Yeah, and when I watch it now, I'm like, man, this movie is very it has a very odd look to it that
Yeah,
I don't know if I would be into if I saw the movie now, but it really, I think there was something about the communal experience of seeing it with the theater, and I'd never seen anything like this. I had this idea that horror movies, because I was very young and I just thought, oh, this is for grown-ups. I shouldn't be watching
Yeah.
these. This is gonna but this movie had just the right amount of comedy for being like, I don't know, like 11 or whatever it was. And then I was like, this is what I want to do forever. I don't know.
that's
It was
awesome.
just that one moment. But yeah, it is a very odd movie, but
Really
I still
weirdly
love it.
shot movie, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I have to see it again more recently, but my mom reached out, I think for my birthday one year, because she and I saw it together, and I think she like found the filmmakers on Facebook and
What?
like
Oh.
explained my story. It was like, it's her birthday. Can I like mail you something? And then could you mail me a signed copy for her birthday?
Wow.
And they sent
Oh, that's
her a copy.
cool.
It was so sweet. It was so sweet of them. And
That's
they
awesome.
I think they're brothers. They most recently did maybe like one of the Saw movies, like Saw
Oh,
something.
cool.
Jigsaw. Maybe they did a Jigsaw. I don't know. You have to look it up.
There's
They
a
did that
lot,
movie
yeah.
Daybreakers as well. That with Ethan Hawke. Daybreakers. Is that right? Ethan Hawke. Now I'm questioning myself. It's like
Yeah.
their vampire society. Yeah, they did that as well. But which I think also has a kind of strange color to it. But I think the thing with digital filmmaking that I think we all, I think should be thinking about is like the way color looks is pretty versatile, and then we can kind of get used to the way the raw looks, and like especially with horror, you might be drawn to like these kind of drab color palettes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that for some movies, it can definitely be a very effective tool to be colored in a certain way. But I also think that it's just such a I think just growing up in the kind of very, very indie world, I think about color as something that you can really utilize for free. Like you
Yeah.
can just pick the blue shirt versus the green shirt, and they're the same price, hopefully, and just things like that to just kind of represent different ideas. And even with this movie, and it's not something that I expect anyone to ever notice, but whenever the main character is kind of like further away from where he's supposed to be, we did this like kind of hot and cold thing. It's like bluer, and there's like bluer colors, and then when he's like in a warmer environment,
Mm.
he's not wearing the blues anymore. He wears a lot of
Oh,
blues
now I need to
when he's
rewatch
sad.
this movie.
You see this movie twice, so you're good.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch
But,
this movie now. I love that though. I love when you find out things about this and make you go back and rewatch a
Yeah.
film. I love finding things out about. That's awesome. Attention
well,
to
if you just
detail.
Yeah, well, if you fast forward in our movie, like to, or a scene where he's really sad, you'll see he's wearing blue. And if you fast forward to the scene where they're like making spaghetti together, and the scene I mentioned, like, oh, I love the scene where they're kind of connecting, but it's a
Yeah.
sad moment. The colors are warm, and there's warm lights, and she's wearing warm colors. He's not wearing blue anymore. And he's wearing like just like warmer palette,
Yeah.
colors. So,
That's awesome.
and then he wears black in his black cast, and this was his idea with the black cast, and his black shirt at the end. These are colors that represent the demon, the demon hole and the goop and stuff like that. So you always know there's a little hint of the demon around. There's black in their clothes, and so it's these I just think colors can be just another tool that can be utilized, but in the world of digital filmmaking,
Yeah.
I think we can get used to things like the raw out of the camera, and just kind of the flatness of it and stuff. So how did I get it to colors? Oh, Undead. Yeah, and those
Yeah.
filmmakers, they do gravitate
Yeah.
towards some interesting color correction.
Yeah. I
But
looked them
you
up
never
actually.
know.
The Spearig brothers. I just looked them up actually. Yeah. And well, you're right. It was Jigsaw and Daybreakers with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I always question. I can tell you all are huge horror fans, and I start to question myself.
Oh, I do
Sometimes.
it every day. That's why I try not to say things because I'm like, oh my god, I know I'm saying something wrong, and someone's gonna
I
correct
know.
me.
Y'all can correct me. But yes, I do get nervous. But I should know. I feel like horror fans are the best fans. Like,
Oh, they totally are. The horror community is
yeah,
great. They really are.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Dean, do you have any other questions you want to throw to Emily?
No, man, I'm good. I mean, I guess what have you got lined up next? What's next? Any other movie projects that you've written that you're about to jump into directing again? What's next for you?
Any
Yeah.
shorts?
Yeah, shorts. Yeah.
I just have features right now. The next one I'm trying to get going is a Christmas horror project.
Oh, dude, I'm so happy. Like, I don't know if it's just like the past couple of years, but Christmas horror movies have been coming in like crazy, and I love Christmas horror movies. So, yes, 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 yes.
Awesome.
It's a lot more horror than this
Oh,
one.
okay.
But I'm really hoping to get that one off the ground. It's, kind of in the early stages right now. But it's this and Sorry About the Demon were scripts I've had for years. And so it's really interesting to, see
Oh,
them
yeah.
come to life now.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm very
Cool.
excited.
I love a good Christmas horror as well. I'm putting together a horror anthology film at the minute, which is features a selection of different holiday horror themed shorts, and it starts with a Christmas one and ends with a Christmas one. We've got two really really cool Christmas horror shorts in there. So I love me a Christmas horror. Yeah, that's how I'm really looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be cool.
That sounds really good. It's an anthology?
Yeah. So it's kind of done. We just filmed a wraparound scenes recently, and it's all very campy, very super color. You like colors, you'll dig this. It's super super colorful, very Tales from the Crypt. Um, and yeah, it's there's like a couple. There's two. It starts with a Christmas short, ends with a Christmas short. You've got a Christmas short, a Valentine's short, an Easter short, a St. Patrick's Day short, a Halloween short, and then it ends on another Christmas short. So it's almost like it spans throughout the whole 365 days of the year, kind of thing.
That's
And
awesome.
it's really cool. But yeah, the Christmas ones are the best for me. I love Christmas horrors. I think they're great. That's one of my favorite things about Christmas time is being able
Yeah.
to wheel out all the Christmas horrors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
One for each day of December.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like an advent calendar. There's
Yeah.
just something about kind of like when people did y'all mention like with horror and comedy, they kind of go hand in hand with
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And I think Christmas and horror, it's like these kind of like like sweet and salty. I don't know, like these things that just kind of
Yeah.
mesh really well together. And it's just it's a genre combo that I think I get really excited about, and I guess Christmas can be a genre.
Yes.
Horror genre combo. So
Definitely.
excited to see that anthology. And do you have any other? So y'all make what else are y'all making?
What are we doing, Dean? I mean, Dean is like way more creative and does way more things than I do. I just kind of just man this. But Dean, he goes in the festival circuit pretty much all year in the UK and vendors. So he's a hot sauce maker.
I got. Yeah. I'll find you on Instagram. I've got I make horror themed hot sauce and craft beer called Ales from the Crypt. And it's kind of the whole company is just kind of branching out into now like it's like a brand. I'm trying to get it over into the States, and we're sort of making this Dean of the Dead horror anthology movie. But we've got some really cool people involved. We've got like Ryan Kruger, who did Fried Barry. I don't know if you saw that on Shudder. Drew Marvick, who did Pool Party Massacres, got something on there. There's some really cool people involved. So it's good, man. It's just what people I've met along the way as well, who we've just put this project together and said, "Hey, do you want to do something?" They're like, "Yeah, man," and it's really coming together. And that's the first sort of my first venture into doing anything filmmaking wise, and I love it. I'm absolutely loving it. I love the whole process. It's so much fun. So it's definitely not going to be the last.
Oh yeah. There's a couple of
Cool.
things that I want to do creatively, filmmaking wise, that I'm still playing around with that would be intertwined with the podcast, but it's it's very ambitious. So I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but we'll see, and we'll talk about that in a later date because it's still being worked out. It's still being
That
worked
is
out.
awesome. Well, keep me posted. I just love
Hell
to,
yeah.
meet more people in film. And I've been on this kick, I think, kind of like a New Year's kick of like just thinking about how solitary making movies can feel, and then just like meeting other creatives and connecting, and this, film can also be a little bit more like, what kind of favors can you do for me? And like the
Yeah.
people you meet. And
Yeah.
I think it's just really nice to just connect with other creatives and support each other and find out what everyone's making, and just be genuinely, excited about
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I
Yeah,
love
I've
it.
been hitting up a lot of festivals as well. Like there's a few cool. There's quite a few cool festivals, like horror festivals in particular over here, and I've met so many people just hanging out at those. Just going along and up at the bar afterwards. Just hey man, your movie was great, and just kind of get chatting to people, and you kind of weed out the people that are actually really cool and really kind of up for helping each other out, and the others that just kind of stick to themselves. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
I
And
enjoy
That's
it.
great.
Emily, this was great.
Thanks for having me. I don't know if I said enough good stuff about the movie or what,
Oh
but
no, this is
I'm
a
glad
great
we.
chat. I mean, we were kind of
Okay,
all
cool.
over the place. I loved
Yeah.
it, and I love listening to your stories and having you chat. It's always really good. You and I always talk about this. It's good when our guests can, talk about multiple things at once and keep going. Because when we run out of our questions, it's like, damn, okay, so it's like 20 minutes into an episode and there's nothing going on. But you're like, you're full of stories and it's great. And I'd love to have you back on and talk about any other films that aren't going to be coming out. Like if you have one that's going to be released or whatever, and you want to come on and promote it and talk about it, we'd love to have you back on because this was super fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can't wait to. I gotta try this horror hot sauce.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Dean, come on, dude.
I'm from
Well, I'm
Texas.
doing. I'm doing a. It's funny because I'm doing a load of I do a lot of collaborations, and I'm just doing one with Rob Zombie's brother, Spider One, he did like I'm doing one for his movie Allegoria and one for his band Power Man 5000. We're doing one for the Terrifier movie,
Yep.
which we're just trying to get all the legal shit sorted out. We do like a whole bunch of collabs. I
Maybe
can't even
Emily
remember
wants
some.
one.
We did one for the band. We did one. Oh
Have
yeah,
it
if you
have
ever
it
want to,
cake
yeah.
flavored. Oh,
Oh
Dean.
dude, come on. No, that's a good shout.
Or
That's a
make
good
it into
shout.
a or do a beer.
We did one for like the band, the Eagles of Death Metal for their tour. We do all kind of cool stuff like that. But
That's
and
awesome.
we got over in the Mystic Museum in Burbank, California. We're just hopefully getting some stuff in there soon. So I'm trying to get it over to the US. I'm trying to get my work visa and come over and do some shows. But I'll send you a link to check it out. Go and check it out. And
Sweet.
it's weird and random, but
It's
it
good
works.
though.
That's
It's weird.
awesome.
I've kind
Box.
of come closer to That's
Oh,
just
cool.
that's there was sources in there, but I
Yeah,
think
I
he's
used
he's
them.
blasted through them.
That's what they're for. Yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
use
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I can't wait to hopefully, if yeah, just eat this at some point.
Yes.
I
Hell
don't know the
yeah.
better word. So,
Drink it.
what
You
a
drink
cool
it.
Give it a
drink
try.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up drink it. Yeah.
Shot it straight out the bottle.
I'll try to make a hot sauce themed movie so I can reach out.
Hell
But
yeah.
Awesome.
That'd
It's
be great.
awesome, should we say?
Awesome.
I was
Dean,
gonna
get
say
out of here.
awesome.
All right.
awesome.
Awesome.
You can go home. You
All
can
right, I'm
shut off the
logging off. Bye.
computer. All right. No, this
No,
was a
that was.
blast. Was.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks.
and best of luck with everything, and hope you get some heat and power over there, and
Oh, thank
enjoy
you.
Hell yeah.
enjoy y'all's Valentine's Day, and
Yes. Yes, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And make sure you go watch Sorry About the Demon on Shudder. If you don't have Shudder, I suggest you get it now or at least do their 7-day trial to watch this film. Support Emily. Go and do it. Now, I'm
thank
waiting.
you.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. Did you do it yet? Okay, I hope you did it. Comment below. Make sure that we know that you went to go watch the film, and also let us know what you're doing on Valentine's. I'm very interested. Even though this will be coming out after Valentine's Day, but you'll be able to tell us what you did at least. Emily, thank you so much for being here, and we would love to have you back on at any time, whether to be talking about a movie. Maybe we'll have you come on and talk about Undead. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we can get that sorted and talk some horror.
Thank you so much. I love it.
Oh yeah, Dean, as always, thank you for being my partner in crime, man.
Cool, man. I'm just a grey box today, I'm afraid. But as soon as I get...
this has to be a meme. I need someone to make this into a meme now, and just insert a gray box onto all of our episodes, and just put Dean.
It's because I'm curled up on the sofa, man. Normally I'm outside
dude, just for 2 seconds, just take off your camera. I want everybody to see what you actually look like, because I think you look awesome.
No one needs to see that, man. It's fine.
Oh man, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
They can log on to deanofthedead.com. You see me right there.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thanks.
Cool.